Live from New York, it's Ask an Engineer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another Wednesday night Ask an Engineer. It's me, Ladyada, with me, Mr. Ladyada, and we're broadcasting live from the Adafruit factory in downtown Manhattan. Behind us is all of the manufacturing line where we make and code and test and ship and video and photo and blog and more, everything that happens on Adafruit.com and the learning system and Adafruit Daily. It happens here. Right now everyone is asleep or at home because it's the end of the day. It's just Mr. Ladyada and me. Because we have an hour-long show we're going to do right now called Ask an Engineer. And we got all sorts of good stuff on it. So why don't you kick it off and tell people...
On tonight's show, the code is wireless LEDs. We have lots of wireless LEDs this week. We had them before in the past, and we ran out really fast, so I thought I would have a code and more. We'll get to these during new products, but if you've been seeing these, we got them. So use the code wireless LEDs. Adafruit Live, series of shows. We do these every single week. We'll be talking about the live shows we did and... show and tell. We just got finished doing that right now. We have a chip shortage this week with everyone's favorite state, Texas. They make instruments.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew. Texas Instruments is our chip shortage of the week. We'll go over what we need, what we're missing, and more. Maybe we'll ask for their help as well. Got some main New York City factory footage. Got some 3D printing. We're going to do IMPI. This week is from ST. It's brought to you by DigiKey and Adafruit. Got some new products. We're going to answer your questions. We do that over on Discord, adafruit.it/Discord. Mm-hmm. That's where we answer those questions. Join all 35,000 of us. That's where we're at. All that and more on, you guessed it, Ask an Engineer.
Woohoo!
Okay, so just remember, code wireless LEDs. You'll be able to see these this week on our shows and more. But that's the code. And they get free stuff. So if you want, start putting stuff in your cart.
Free.
When do they get, Ladyada?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. When you order from Adafruit.com, which helps support us and pay all of our engineers and designers, photographers and videographers and coders and more, you get some free stuff. $99 or more, you get a free Permaproto half-size breadboard. Somebody on the show and tell showed off their Eurorack synth, which had a Permaproto in it. This is how you know they're good. A great way to take your solderless breadboard projects and make them permanent. $149 or more, you get a pink PC. That's the Permaproto. You get a pink KB2040. It's a lovely little dev board that's great for making keyboards or any other kind of microcontroller project featuring the Raspberry Pi RP2040. It's got USB-C, STEMMA QT, buttons, castellated pads, lots of GPIO, analog inputs, and more. It's actually a really great starter board. You can use it with CircuitPython, MicroPython, or Arduino.
And we also have free shipping, but apparently there's going to be a giant another crisis about like trains on strike. Yeah. I think trains are going on strike.
Yeah.
So we can get.
We'll do what we can.
We got free UPS ground shipping, and then we also have a Circuit Playground.
That's right.
Express Bluefruit.
$299 or more, you get a Circuit Playground Bluefruit, Bluetooth low energy capabilities, lots of sensors, LEDs, capacitive touchpads, and more. Free with your order. And
don't forget, please register on Adafruit.com, verify your account, and do two-factor authentication. And if you don't do that for other websites that you use and they offer it, you should, because these computers, they're chatty, and this is just one of the things that you could do to have good security, good online hygiene, good ways to keep your data safe. And for some products, like things that are in short supply, like the Raspberry Pi, we're only allowing orders from accounts that have two-factor authentication because there's bots. There's people that buy them and then sell them at a huge markup. It really, the worst part about all this is what it does to people. So there's folks who really need to get Raspberry Pis, they can't get them, and they're angry. And sometimes, even though we're the only steady supplier that's able to release them each week, people have total meltdowns, yell at our team, they're really mean. I get it, so we don't take it personal, because they're just really angry and frustrated that folks are doing this out there. So that's what you can do, and if you encourage others to just wait their turn, register on the site, two-factor authentication. We have a Raspberry Pi for
And
you.
we would limit one per customer so that everyone gets a shot.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. Okay. Adafruit Live. So we do a bunch of live shows. We were having the team co-host show and tell. So thank you so much, Liz, Melissa, Pedro, JP. I don't know if Kenny did one. Anyways, we had lots of the team co-hosting the show and tell. So thanks for that. We just got off the show and tell right now.
It was so great.
A few moments ago, whatever version of time you want to use. All of them were really good. I would say I'd like to pick a highlight. Scrub forward and check out the Burning Man project that Gustav showed, because it was made with CircuitPython, and Burning Man and electronics and even Adafruit, it's all kind of connected. Really neat sensor work and how heartbeats can work. So check out that one. They're all good, but that's definitely one.
And there's some good synth projects.
Yeah, and there's some good synth projects, and there's really neat projects that everyone did, but that's one to check out. On Sunday we do Desk of Ladyada. We have two parts. The first part, usually Ladyada is showing something she did.
I've been actually doing a lot of redesign, so I didn't have a lot of new products, but instead I showed off. I did do one quick redesign of the 1.8-inch TFT breakout to add iSpy connector, and I'm going to have an iSpy product in the new product section later. And I also showed off some cool, weird rotary encoders samples that I got and joystick samples I got. And I think that was pretty much, and then I showed off this tester that I'm working on for the Itsy Bitsy ESP32.
Yeah. Then we do the Great Search, and the Great Search is when Ladyada uses her powers of engineering to help people find things on digikey.com. So this week, what did you help people try to find?
Okay, so this was actually interesting. So some of the great searches are like, finding the part's easy, but what do you learn while trying to find the part? So there's a FRAM component that we use on a breakout, and it got discontinued. And there's a suggested alternative, and the suggested alternative is in stock, and it's a good one. But there's actually, it was a packaging change, not like a chip change or a discontinuation. And so it turns out you can still get the chip, but just in a slightly different molding package. So it was a good reminder for me, and part of the Great Search is always read the engineering change notes or the product change notes, and read them in depth, because not all of them are the same. Don't assume just because it's something's being discontinued that it isn't available some other way. Sometimes they really do just kill off a product, but sometimes it's available with a slight tweak in the same pricing that's a little bit more lead time.
Okay, and JP's product pick of the week happened on Tuesday. Here is this week's highlight.
That right there is my product pick of the week. It is the Quad Alphanumeric 14-segment LED backpack. It runs over I2C, so you know what we did. We did what we always do. We added a Stemma QT/Quick port. There's actually two of them back there. Light up individual segments if you want. Yeehaw, my friend. I have 5 of these displays, each color. I have them all plugged into each other on the back using the Stemma QT, and then I have that plugged into a little cutie pie here. Each of these I have set the jumpers on to give them unique addresses. Alpha stuff, it says alphanumeric display. Once you have this set up, you can just throw long lines of text at it or strings of numbers. It knows what to do, so there's nothing you have to do to manage it. It just acts as a single display, which is terrific. The library is excellent. It is the Quad Alphanumeric 14-segment LED backpack display with Stemma QT.
And don't forget, on Thursday, JP's workshop, and then Friday, deep dive with Tim. Tim showed a really neat thing on the show and tell. It's this cool flippy clock, and you'll be able to probably learn how to make that and more on this week's deep dive with Tim, Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, I'm doing the quick little AdaBox update. The update is there is no updates. We're still trying to get 5,000 plus of mini parts every single week. It's a fun gymnastics performance with just getting all the things for regular customers, regular store orders, all the resellers. And so AdaBox is one of those things where we keep squirreling away, putting the parts in our cheeks and digging them up maybe this winter to ship them out. So no updates.
It's a dirt box.
Yeah. No updates yet, but if it doesn't look like we're going to do AdaBox this year, we'll let all the subscribers know. There is a lot of people signed up. So if folks go, If you're like, I'm tired of waiting, that's fine. There's people who want to have that slot. And the other thing is we don't charge your credit card until we ship AdaBox, so don't worry about it. But I think because everyone in all parts of their life has just been endlessly disappointed with the things they've wanted, I feel like there's more understanding than any other time, because we're going to have an AdaBox. It's just, we got to get the parts. So we'll keep doing the updates. Thanks for your patience. Very much appreciated. And if you want to tap out, that's okay. Just know it might be harder to get back in later, because there's a few thousand people signed up for if and when they leave. Time for a chip shortage. All right, this week's chip shortage. Texas Instruments, they have a chip that we need. Ladyada, what is it?
I'm glad you asked. It's the TPS 61090. It's a boost converter chip. It's a very nice one, as we've been using it for almost a decade. It features in the Power Boost 500. It's basically, it's got nice, it's reliable. It's got indicator LEDs. Like I said, we've been using it in the Power Boost design. We have the Power Boost Shield, the Power Boost Basic, the Power Boost Plus, whatever. But we can't make any right now, and we have a lot of people waiting for them.
All right,
because we can't get the TPS.
If you go to their website,
61.
No go, huh?
90. No, you can't get it.
All
2
right.
amp switch. I like it's a built-in switch, and it's the indicators I really like about it. It's got like the low battery output and the power good output. You can't get it, and it's like 55-week lead time from DigiKey. They're not in stock there either.
So we went over there, we looked. So what is it, 55 weeks out?
Yeah, 55 weeks out. But we actually ordered more than 55 weeks ago, and it's still being pushed out. I think we've got these on order in October 2021. We're not going to get these until July 2023. So it'd be really cool if we got some. So Mrs. Texas.
Yeah, so please,
Hair Instruments.
Texas Instruments.
Look at this baby.
This is my child.
This is a child.
Please, your
chips are needed.
Your small shipment of chips help all of the Power Boost children. Please. So, anyways, that's our chip shortage for this week. We ordered 6,000 back in October of 2021, and now it's pushed to July of 2023. So, luckily, someone on Twitter reached out and said, "Oh, hey, I'm from Texas Instruments. Wanted to wanted to connect.
Wanted to instrument.
Wanted to collaborate or something." So I'm going to send them this video. Maybe it'll work. But we'd very much
come over if you bring over some chips.
Yeah.
You don't need to bring over flowers.
And we won't have to show this graphic anymore. It's terrorizing. That's this week's chip shortage. It's Python on Hardware time.
Hey, Blika.
All right. Lot is going on. Newsletter, Adafruit Daily. We ship these out. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. I think it'll be the first and only Python on Hardware newsletter with 10,000 subscribers. So this week...
It's free.
Yeah, it's free. No ads, no anything. Don't share your email address. All those things. I'll get to that in a minute. Latest update to Raspberry Pi OS. If you've been waiting, it's here. Download it. There's a bunch of things that make your Raspberry Pi experience better. The 2023 official Raspberry Pi handbook is out. You can download it as a PDF. You can also purchase it if you want to support the Raspberry Pi folks. The weekly CircuitPython community help desk video is out every single Saturday. You can ask your questions. Check it out. if you're looking for kind of like open office hours, I guess that's the thing. Like anything that you're looking to do with CircuitPython and you want to have someone help you out with the code. A lot of folks, they do projects and then they deploy them later. The person who did the Burning Man project with CircuitPython, they were able to get all the help they needed and then went off and, you don't have connectivity and everything. So a lot of people have experiences not only just sharing code tips, but things like, here's good best practices for putting a heat shrink on wires, or just a lot of things. Like this is more than
Stuff
just
to watch out for,
more than just code.
how to keep dust out of your project.
So it's monthly, and you can check out more information on the blog. PyCon UK, it's coming up. It's Friday the 16th to Sunday the 18th. If there's anything there that we see, we'll do a post. There's usually some interesting stuff at these events. Microdot, a lightweight web server API for Python and MicroPython. And then we go into the projects and more. We had a little bit of news with like how companies are dealing with the chip shortage. We just did our chip shortage video. And then some of the streams. Deep dive this week with Tim, CircuitPython Parsec with JP. The CircuitPython show last week was Radomir. This week coming up is Thea Flowers. So if you're interested in really cool synthesizers and Eurorack stuff, Winter Bloom.
Everyone loves that.
Going to be a cool interview. And then project of the week this week is Minesweeper. It's a game on the Pi Portal Titano with CircuitPython.
Fun.
So yeah, if you want to check that out, that's there. And then just tons and tons of project news around the web. You can see all the things that people are doing with CircuitPython, with MicroPython, with keyboards. Some of the things, Ann is the editor of the newsletter, definitely dialed into what's going on at NASA, because Ann's down in Florida. Kind of interesting, you probably saw this. NASA selects the sci-fi RISC-V chip
Yeah, it's just
for their
kind of cool.
ecosystem for future space missions.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. They're probably, like, it makes sense that they probably want an open core in some way so they can do different things. And then they can this is
And
the
they can
core we
rad
use.
harden it,
Yeah, this is
if
the
you
core
want
we
to.
use. Like, who wants to make it space hardened?
Cool.
Post up some of our videos, some of our projects, and more. It is a super chunky newsletter. You can sign up on Adafruit Daily. We deliver it to your inbox every single week. It's spam-free, ad-free. We don't share your email address. However, this is the tip I'm going to tell everybody, because I'm corresponding with someone right now. They think that their email address was used on another newsletter, and I'm like, well, it wasn't from us, but I can see why you'd think that, because everyone in the world shares their email address, everyone lies, everyone's been let down. All there is suffering online. A lot of it's Twitter, but there's other parts online where people suffer. But everyone's been lied to and let down, so I completely get it. We never take it personal. But one of the things I suggest is, if you're using, I think pretty much, unfortunately it's kind of monopoly with how mail works, but if you're using something like Gmail or something that's based on Gmail, you can always construct an email address. So a lot of people do that. They'll put their name plus like Adafruit and then, at gmail.com. And that's a good way for you to track, because we don't share your email address. And that's, and I would also say, like, put a little like code and date and everything like that. Because if there was ever a data leak, we would want to know that too. If for anyone yoinked email addresses, we would want to hear about that. But that's a little tip that you could do, because I want to make sure everyone knows we don't do that. You have to try really, really hard to get us to send an email. We only do it for orders and stuff like that. That's why we have a separate site, adafruitdaily.com. And that is this week's Python on Hardware. We're an open source hardware company. To prove it, we have 2,730 guides.
Wow.
Ladyada, what's on the big board?
We had actually a lot of guides go
Yeah.
live this week. Okay, from Now and Pedro, they did a great guide on how to use and how to access their references of 3D model parts from Adafruit. And they have a GitHub repo, and they show the file formats, how to download them, how to use them, and also how to do a pull request. So if you do make models of some Adafruit parts, please submit them. We would love to have them in the repo, but it's a resource, something that we use internally for when Noah and Pedro make 3D models, projects they want to fit everything in nicely, so they have it all modeled out, and they have like the silk screen. It like looks really cool, and you can use it as well. From Liz Clark, she did an awesome, fun project where she made the synthesizer patch cables using the LED nudes, these flexible filament LED strip thingies, and just using the CV signal and the gate signal actually powers the LED because it's like you put voltage across it. And so by doing some like cool hacking, she makes looks like the cables are lighting up and pulsing with the music. And using stackable cables means you can get signal through via another cable, and then the lighting happens via the CV and ground connection. So check out that guide. It's a really easy project, a great beginner project. If you're not a super electrical engineer, you don't want to do any coding, there's no coding required for that project.
Okay. Got some other guides?
Okay. We also got from Katney, the Wi-Fi mailbox notifier. It's a common project. How to make a ESP32 board running CircuitPython. If you didn't know, CircuitPython now runs on the classic ESP32. And have it go into a deep sleep mode in between, and then wake up when something opens, like a magnetic switch is opened, like this mailbox, and it will send a message to Adafruit IO, and then it can send you an SMS or an email or some other notification. Also track the battery level. So it's a really great IoT project, a very common project people want. They want to be notified when something has been opened. JP Don Pedro also did a massive project called the Walk Person. It's an MP3 player that's in a tape player shape. And it uses these cool Cherry MX keys. It uses a display, uses a Feather RP2040, plays MP3s with this. It has the amplifier. You can use speakers or headphones. This is an adorable little project I'll put together in CircuitPython, and also a really great demo of how to use, again, all those 3D model parts in the Adafruit GitHub repo to make a 3D printed project where everything fits together nicely and comes together so beautifully. Jepler has a bunch of keyboards, and he's making them work with CircuitPython, and they're all a little different. So this week it's a Commodore 16 keyboard, which is actually just a raw matrix keyboard, and he basically showed how to use a KB2040 and how to turn it into a key mapped keyboard. And then also don't forget QMK is releasing RP2040 support, so you could also update this to use QMK if you'd like. And then finally, Liz did a one-page update to the Adafruit macro pad. A lot of people asked, how do I connect external hardware to the macro pad? Can I add Wi-Fi? Can I add Bluetooth? Not really, but you can add sensors and rotary encoders and LEDs and stuff. Check out the extra page on adding external hardware to the macro pad guide.
Okay, I'm going to play two videos. One is the Walk Person, just a little bit of like how it works, and then Liz's video about the cool project she just did.
In this project, you'll use Nude's flexible LED filaments to make light-up visualizers for your CV synths. Synthesizers are like musical circuits. Their sonic qualities are affected by voltages and different waveform shapes that are patched to different modules in the system. The Nudes are soldered to audio jacks with an inline resistor. Then, they can light up by plugging into the CV outputs. Different waveforms and voltages can create different light-up effects. Gate signals or square waves will make the Nudes blink. LFOs, sine waves, and triangle waves will make the Nudes fade on and off, like pulse width modulation. The Nudes can't transmit a CV signal, they only visualize them. You can use them with signal multipliers or piggyback cables to integrate with your patches. See how you can build your own glowy noodles by checking out the Learn Guide at learn.adafruit.com.
And it's time for some advanced manufacturing here from the Adafruit factory, and then I'll play a special video that we shot here in New York too, not too long ago. It's 3D printing time.
Zip, zip, zip.
Yeah. All right, we got 2 videos. One is going to be about the part stuff that we're doing, so you can get all your 3D parts, so you can make enclosures some more, and then we're going to do a speed up, and then we'll see you on the other side.
Oh, there's a skull.
You can design custom enclosures for your DIY projects using 3D models from Adafruit. These allow you to create designs that feature accurate measurements, so you can get exact dimensions without having to guess or rely on measuring parts with calipers. The 3D models are available to download for free on GitHub. Links are in the description. Each part features the product ID, so it's easy to search and find exactly what you're looking for. Included are files in open formats such as STEP and STLs, but also the original Fusion 360 file. You can also view a GIF or JPEG image of the part to see the model before you download it. If you can't find what you're looking for, you can submit a parts request using the Issues tab. You can also contribute by submitting your own parts to the repo. Just follow the same naming convention and submit a pull request. For more documentation, be sure to check out the guide on learn.adafruit.com.
As the YouTube auto captioner said, it's really important time. It's every Wednesday. 3D Hangouts, which is not only 3D Hangouts, but really important time with Noah and Pedro, so do check that out. All right, let's do some Ion MPI.
Yes.
On MPI.
This week's Ion MPI is from ST. Lydia, what is this week's new product introduction?
That's right, ST Micro. This is an interesting new sensor. This is an accelerometer. It's the AIS 25BA. I want to also mention that this is the automotive version of the list 25BA. So there's 2 versions. They work pretty much the same. And these are accelerometers that you configure them with I2C, but the data comes out via TDM. And they're designed to be low noise, high bandwidth. They're triple access. And yeah, it's interesting. Like they basically go up to basically 4G max. And instead of getting data the way you normally would with an accelerometer, where you basically query it over I2C or SPI and you get the data that way, or like maybe it's analog, the data is streamed out for you automatically over a high-speed TDM interface where you can clock it at multiple kilohertz, and it's designed to go into an audio subsystem, which is like I was like, what's up with that? Like, why would such a thing be useful? And this is the data sheet. So this one again, this is the AIS version. It's designed for use in automotive. It's got ultra low noise density. It's a 1.8 volts interface, by the way, which isn't a big deal, but just FYI. And it's designed to have ultra low frequency response from DC to 2.4 kilohertz. So 2.4 kilohertz is kind of like the cutoff where they're expecting you to stream data out of. You control it over I2C, and then of course you get, like I said, TDM output 8 to 24 kilohertz. It's time division. That's TDM stands for time division multiplex. You're going to get the X, Y, Z, and other data out. So again, what is this useful for? So this is kind of interesting. So the idea behind this is that you would use this for noise reduction and noise cancellation for recording, because usually you record with a microphone, right? A microphone takes audio waves going through the air and it flexes a thin piezo element or a MEMS element, converts it into a capacitive or current or voltage measurement, and that's how you get audio out. The problem is that and just we're doing the show, and so this is something we deal with. It's really hard to get only the audio you want without the background noise you don't want. It's like there's a lot of work involved in it, and especially if you're doing automotive, right? We mentioned this is the automotive version. If you're in a car, cars are extremely loud, and you're trying to maybe use a voice assistant, or you're talking on the phone. You're fighting all this background noise. And what's interesting about this idea that ST, I don't know if they invented it or they just have products for it, but you use the accelerometer to do the vibration detection for the DC 0 to, again, about 2 kilohertz vibrations, and you use that instead of the microphone, and so you don't end up getting the acoustic noise, and you cancel it out. And if there is noise that comes in from the low frequencies due to vibration, you can either add it or remove it or perform some sort of filtering, so that you can you don't get that, especially in those low frequencies is where you're getting a lot of acoustic noises, and microphones usually are not as responsive. So the idea here is that you still need a microphone. This is not a microphone, but because it's TDM out, you can basically shove it directly into your codec, your DSP, your chip, your microcontroller, your microcomputer, perform some basic filtering on it, either like low pass or high pass, add or addition, and use that to get better audio output. And we have a video that we'll show at the end that actually it shows how nice the waveform looks when you remove the audible noise that you would not get through the vibration detection of the LIS or the AIS 25. So the chip is, the kind of the standard 16 LIS style GPIO, but again, they don't have SPI. Instead, they have TDM output or input. You put in the bit clock and the M clock for the word clock, and the M clock and the master clock, and the B for the bit clock. You control over I2C what data you want out, and the formatting. It comes out as 16-bit TDM, I think up to 8 channels. I think maybe, here it shows you. You can decide, which frequency range you want. You can set cutoffs. You can, do oversampling, whatever. You can get the ODR data X, Y, Z. It comes out as TDM, and then your codec is going to have to take that and then do something with it. But usually, once you get it, like if you have a powerful enough microcontroller or microcomputer, once you get the data in this like I2S like format, it's very easy for you to perform audio calculations on it. Just mentioning that the accelerometer is just accelerometer. It doesn't do the math for you. It just gets you the data in the format that you can then perform math on. You can, there's 8 slots, I think. I'm trying to remember, there's 6 slots. You can decide which ones you want on what axis, and then, again, they have some example code for, I think, STM microcontroller, if you download it for their dev board. But honestly, I would probably plug this into something like a Raspberry Pi computer, something that can really do the analysis for you and do the filter cutoffs. For the I2C control side, they do have a driver. This is kind of a generic C driver. It's not an Arduinoese, but you can port it to, whatever Linux, STM32, Cube, or whatever microcontroller you're using. and then pipe that TDM data into your microcontroller, into your microcomputer or your DSP. And the best part is it's in stock.
Available DigiKey.
Yay!
That's right.
It's in stock.
There's 490 at the time of this printing.
Yes, there's no eval boards right now. I would have picked up an eval board and I'd try it out. But do check out also, again, the LIS 25, which is the non-automotive version. I think the thing that first off, this is interesting because I'd never seen accelerometer with TDM output, and I was like, why would you do that? But then once I saw the demo and I read about it, I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. It's definitely, as we're seeing, we've talked a lot about AI and audio interfaces. One thing that I've noticed is a lot of companies are trying to get away from having mechanical button and knob interfaces and go with audio interfaces because they're upgradable, they're programmable, they don't get dirty, they don't get loose. You don't have to worry about people looking, you can just speak to your car and say, do X, Y, Z. The problem is that if an audio assistant isn't 99% accurate, it's incredibly annoying. Like they have to be so good, or it's very frustrating for people.
And it's even not possible because there's humans involved. So I saw that the studies that have come out that it's a better UI for many things to have physical knobs. So I think it's like the middle path is the way, once again, like some stuff makes sense for probably voice control, but some stuff should probably also have a tactical knob. Probably can do a little bit of both.
Yeah. That said, and this was definitely, I can sort of tell, like this was designed for some car company that they were like, we want audio interface, but we want to do the noise cancellation from the vibration because it's like you're driving on a highway and it's just like, so, but I think it's going to be very useful for other, anyone using recording or voice, especially with, or doing, actually another interesting use case for this would be if you wanted to do like predictive maintenance type projects where it's like you have a device that's vibrating, like a compressor, like this is a common thing, the compressor, it's like when it starts making a weird noise, right? But then how do you determine what that weird noise is and how do you get the audio
you can
in?
just sample and then you can...
Using the vibration could be nice because then you won't be affected, it won't be affected by outside acoustic noise. So I think there's a couple of cases. I like the idea of like it streams in as audio, comes in as 3 to 9 channels and you tweak it that way.
The elevators I take, anytime it's about to break down, it always sounds different. That would probably be a good use for it.
It's interesting that we forget that accelerometers and audio are actually measuring the same thing. Just one does a surface when one does it in the air. Anyways,
a video.
We got to distract, but check out this very cool demo, which I like that they had Audacity, so you could really see the effects of the LIS 25.
Recorded by the accelerometer, and the audio is recorded by the onboard microphone. In this PC GUI, you see the individual path of each of the sensors, which is the microphone on the top, you see in time and frequency, and then the accelerometer in time and frequency. What we are going to do in order to deploy this system is we are going to take the lower portion of the spectrum up to 2 kilohertz from the accelerometer and the higher portion of the spectrum from the microphone, as you can see in these two diagrams. We are going to combine them into a single audio signal where the gain, acoustic gains of the two sensors have been equalized and recombine them into the output that gets generated as output of the system. So now let's try to record the audio coming from the demo. So we turn on this recording system where we see 2 channels actually. One represents the audio as recorded by the single microphone. Another one represents the audio recorded by a combination of microphone and accelerometer. So let's try to listen to each one of these recordings in order to understand the improvement in quality. I'm going to split the 2 signals into individual tracks so that we can listen back to them. Now, if I turn on this bottom track and I play it back from the loudspeaker, you can hear a very disturbed audio that represents what you would get using just a microphone with no further processing. If we listen to the other track, we can hear the output of the actual system, which is clear voice with none of the noise you were hearing previously.
Okay, we're getting set up for new products here. Is that a red line on the screen?
I do not know. It just appeared.
All right. I think it was.
Very
So let's do
exciting.
the code. Code's wireless LEDs. And it's new product time.
New, 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 new.
All right.
Thank you for
Sorry.
fixing my overhead camera.
Yeah, I think what happened was it has a drawing feature,
Oh no.
and I think you were drawing
Well,
on
I
it.
think the cable was draped over
I think
it.
you're drawing on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Whatever.
Back to business. Okay, so we got these magnetic. Actually, last week we put in these really cool magnetic tip cables. They're data
Yeah.
and power. And on one end they've got the USB A or USB C. On the other end, you can have adjustable different tips. And so last week we had gotten the USB C tip in. This week we got the micro USB and the iOS Lightning, which I will show, as well as this wonderful demo. Again, it goes either way. It's USB-C, and you pick different tips. And what I thought was nice about this is that you could have one cable, different connectors, and like these, I'll tell you, like I've tried other ones, and there was a reason we haven't carried these until now, is they were always like never that great. But they're much, much better now, and I actually really like this cable, and I like these tips. So let's go to the overhead real fast.
Okay.
And I will show it off.
The newly refreshed overhead.
The newly refreshed overhead. So this is the cable. So we showed this off last week, and it will focus lock. So it's Type C if you have a USB-C connector, you have a MacBook. Type A if you are on a Windows computer like me. And then I'm going to plug this into my little extension cord here. One thing I like, it has a little power LED, tells you that it's lit up. It does data and power. This is the micro USB. It works great. Or if you want the USB-C tip, it comes with a tip, USB-C, but it also, hold on. Yeah, there you go. So this is running the demo I'm going to show later, USB-C demo, and then you've also, of course, got a Lightning connector, which I forgot my iPad is dead. But
Yeah.
if it was not dead, it would be charging. I left it, unfortunately, for a couple days. But the tip does work.
Yeah,
We'll
well, I'll
have to
turn on in a second if you leave that there.
Oh, yeah, see, it's like,
Yeah,
hi,
no,
why
now
did you do that?
Now we really could tell it
Now
works.
it's really upset. It's like, you please plug
Yeah.
that back in. So I'm going to let this
Yeah,
charge.
that's one of the things. A lot of times there's interesting stuff out there, but we have to test it all, and a lot of it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so we're only willing to stock and support the things that we've tested, and then we've also been using these for a while and kind of went through all its paces.
Yeah, and I like this because it's got like a nice woven cable, and it's got the USB-C or A at the end. And it's nice that you can get extra tips and plug it in. I find this useful because I don't want to have I don't have to plug in all the things at once, but I do need to switch between all these different kinds of cables all the time.
Yep. Okay, next up.
Yep. Okay, next up. I got this for Noah and Pedro's project, but their project got finished before the cables came in. This is a USB 3 to SATA adapter. Basically, every time there's a new Raspberry Pi, people are like, hey, why haven't you added SATA connectors? It's like, well, because they didn't. It's very small. It's a $35 computer. But if you want to add SATA, it's really easy. This cable gives you the SATA power and data on the ends, and it has a USB-A 3.0 on the other, so it goes I think it's like 6 gigabit per second speed. I do have it plugged in here into a large laptop. I will say USB-A is only really good for like about an amp, so it's best used with SSDs, not necessarily a laptop drive. I happen to have only this really big old Western Digital. I'm actually
Jonk.
where do we shoot this photo? Because it honestly should be an SSD. I don't want to promise that it works with these gigantic old disk drives.
By the way, this is not included if you buy it.
And the disk drive is not included.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, this is very handy. And then of course check out Noah and Pedro's awesome guide on how to turn a Raspberry Pi or other single board computer into a multimedia server for your home.
Okay, next up.
We've got from Monk Makes, our favorite, one of our favorite British makers. We have no favorites. They're all our favorites. That's favorite spelled with a U.
Yeah.
Monk makes adorable electronics for microbit, but also for MicroPython and Arduino in general. This is designed for the microbit, and it's got a humidity and temperature sensor and a moisture sensor and RGB LED. And it's designed to make gardening projects and sensing projects really easy. It's low cost. It's very affordable. Pair it with a microbit, or just use alligator clips to clip it onto your favorite microcontroller, CircuitPython, a Clue, what have you, a Pico. There's header soldered on the back. There's no soldering required. And he's got a whole bunch of code as well. So check out that and all the other great Monk Makes products.
And these are all of the wireless LEDs.
Ooh, that's the code.
This is the Bonanza
Yes.
tonight
Okay.
at Cornucopia.
Sorry, I have to set this up because
Yeah, I'm going to show all these videos that we did.
Okay.
They did a good job with
So
this.
we already had people were like, wait, you already have the wireless LEDs in the store. Yes, but we didn't have the big ones. And people wanted the big Berthas. So there's two sizes of wireless LEDs, and I will actually admit, at first I did not realize that there was multiple sizes. But if you look at this
Yeah.
photo,
Yeah, and just by the way, if you go to our site, we have the selection page where you can do this. So you want to show the
Yeah. so on the right, there's the small inductor, and on the left is the large one. So we've had the small ones in stock, but they actually, the way the inductive chargers work, of course, is we've got the big ring that forms the primary, and these coils form the secondary. The magnetic field passes through the coil and charges up the LEDs. And if you're using the small ring, you pretty much have to be right there. But what's nice is if you have the big ring and the large wireless LEDs, they can work as far as like 30-ish centimeters away. The red LEDs are particularly dim, but some of the white LEDs, and I think the green ones in particular, are very responsive.
show it down.
Yeah, let's show them the overhead. They come in packs of 10. I love doing the demo for these because
What's great is you don't have to take them out of the bag.
I don't have to take them out of the bag and lose them. They're right here. So of course the best transmission you're going to get is when they're coaxial, which means that the ring is in the center. Well, it doesn't mean the center, but close to the middle, not on the outside of the ring.
Here. Got this on my hand here.
Oh, you want to put?
Yeah, isn't this neat? And this cool. It's magical. By
It's
the way.
magical.
Yeah, look at this.
But it will always work
How
best
is
if
this
it's
possible?
coaxial. So
Yeah.
just sticking up, and then lift your hand up. So you can get about 10, maybe about up to 10 inches
Look how
away.
far. Look, it's still lit.
It's still lit. It does get dimmer and then it stops. So we did a couple measurements. So each one has using the big ring at 24 volts, how far away it'll work.
Yeah.
With white, blue, and the colors do act a little differently. Another thing we learned is not all the colors work at the same distances. So red in particular, I think gets dimmer a little earlier than the green because the green is just ultra bright. So there you go. So you got the large ones, you got the small ones. Of course, the larger ones work at farther distances, but they are larger, so you'll need to be, you can't fit them into as tiny spots. But that said, we have all the different colors, so choose your favorite color and your favorite size.
Okay. And yeah, you can go to the one-page destination on our site if you want to.
And then don't forget you need the coil as well.
Yeah.
But one coil can power dozens of LEDs, as you see here.
Okie dokie. Next up.
Okay, by popular request, I'm finally getting to some more iSpy boards. There's just been so many revisions. And hold on, I actually had the demo, and then of course I
Yeah.
put it away. So I'm going to
Oops.
use this magnetic cable.
Did I hit the? No, this. Sorry.
No.
5613. Yeah,
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you. So this is the iSpy breakout board. So all of our displays that we've been making lately, people have said wow, the quick STEM QT stuff for I2C has been awesome because it makes it so easy to plug in I2C sensors, no soldering, you get power ground data clock. Wouldn't it be cool if you did the same thing for displays? And so the idea here is you can't use just wires because you need a lot of pins for displays because there's the SPI and the SD card and the touch screen and the memory and reset and backlight. So basically it's 18 pins. And if you look on like this image, you'll see our 1.9-inch display, which I'm also going to demo, has this little latchy connector on it. If you use this flex cable, and you can use a very long flex cable because flex cables are pretty good at high frequency data passing, you can then easily wire up displays that are not right next to your screen. So, normally I'd have solder and wire and plug it all in, but this is actually just plugged in via this flex connector, and I'll disconnect with my magnetic USB cable.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'll show, it's really easy to insert this cable in. We have these in various lengths from short, medium, long, and you can, of course, get flex cables very easily in other lengths. And then this is just a breakout because you're like, okay, well, I've got the cable. I still have to wire it up on the other side. But this way, it's like you don't have to pass long cables for the data. There's also another issue people were having where they're like, why am I not able to pass the 80 megahertz clock data so quickly through my jangly wires? It's like, well, you got jangly wires. This way, you've got nice short breadboard wires, and they go into the cable, and the cable can snake out, and then you can mount this wherever you like without having to worry about cables hanging up. It's a much neater collection. Of course, we'll have little add-ons that are designed for Feather Wings and Raspberry Pi, but we wanted to start with the breakout board version.
Okie dokie. And then the stars of the show tonight, besides you, Ladyada, our community, our customers, our staff, everyone here at Adafruit who makes things go, the community, this wonderful world is...
Wait, we keep going?
What?
Keep going.
We just did that one.
Yeah, we did that one.
Yeah.
Now
Sorry.
it's this one. Yay! The LTR 329 and LTR 330. This is a two in one. These are very similar sensors. Just 1 second. I'm going to grab the magnetic cable for the
somehow
micro
my
well, it's okay. They all look the same.
Some of my photos got out of order this week. We should do magnetic stems one day.
We have those magnetic connectors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all these are kind of blending into one right now.
I know everything looks very similar.
610 and then 55.
So the LTR 303 and the LTR 329 are both light-on I2C digital sensors. They're good up to, I think, like 64 kilolux. They both have adjustable gains, and they have like different integration rates and measurement rates, and they're just really nice little light sensors, and they're very inexpensive. And here's just the demo showing. I'll get this stuff out of the way because there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
The sensors have visible plus IR and then infrared diodes inside. There's 2 channels, and then when you cover them up, that goes down, and when you can change the gain. Just basically it's up to 16 bits, and depending on how bright you want it, you can adjust the gain to give you a good range. They both have STEMMA QT connectors. The drivers actually live in the same libraries. We have Arduino and CircuitPython/Python libraries, so you can use it with any Arduino board. You can use it with a Raspberry Pi, single board computer, desktop with a FT232H, etc. The 329 is the simplest version, and then the 303. Let's explain why I have both. So originally I wanted to just do the 329 because I was going to use it for a project, and I thought, let's make a breakout. The 303 is basically the same sensor, but it has an interrupt pin, and it really is just not connected on the 329. It only exists on the 303. Do you need the interrupt pin? If you don't, go with the 329. If you do, go with the 303. Again, the driver code is basically the same. On the back, you can cut the trace to get rid of the green LED. They only have one I2C address. That said, there is no simpler, easier, smaller light sensor that we found, especially if you're going to replace. We got this to replace an analog light sensor, and we want it to be extremely compact. This one's definitely smaller than the BH1750. It's smaller than the VEML 770 for sure, which is huge and chunky. And the code's very easy to use, and it's a very simple interface, but it kind of does everything you want. So, 2 nice, simple light sensors, great for everyday, visible, infrared, and then you subtract them to get just visible light sensing. And then if you want threshold interrupt support, check out the 303.
All right. And that is new products this week.
New, 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 new.
Okay. Don't forget the code is wireless LEDs. Right there.
Because we had those wireless LEDs.
Yeah, we got a lot of that going on this week. Okay, we're gonna because we had a lot going on. We're not gonna do top secret this week. We're gonna go straight to the questions. I have some lined up. Go over to Discord, adafruit.it/discord.
Yeah, it's already 9.
Yeah, we're gonna answer some questions. First up, one more,
Yeah.
just to confirm.
Confirm.
Are these data and power?
They're data
and power. Data
Yes,
and power.
Data and power.
Cool.
I know it's confusing, but they are data and power. Now they
Yeah.
don't have all the extra super mega special USB-C connectors, but they absolutely will do
Yep.
2.0.
Okay, I'm working with something that will need to measure the temperature of wax. It will be embedded in the wax. While solid and melted, is there a temp sensor that would be able to put up with that environment?
Well, here's the good news. That's actually not that hot. I mean, it's hot, but it's not like crazy hot. Now, we have the high temperature DS18B20s in the store. I think those go up to 125 C. So basically, if it's below boiling, which I think wax is, try that. That's definitely the easiest because there's DS18B20 code everywhere. If that won't work for you, we definitely have the K-type thermocouples with the stainless steel tip. That'll also do the job. That'll go up to 600 degrees C. But honestly, the cheapest, easiest thing is just to use the high temp DS18B20s if you don't need more than 125 C.
For the selective solder, would it be better to leave the dross floating on the surface as an insulator and oxygen bearer, or do you
No,
have to
because
strip it?
it'll clog the pump, so you have to clean it off. I mean, there's always a little bit, but you don't want it to be super crusty.
Okay. Do you have a favorite op amp?
Oh boy, the LMC 6542 that was kind of my first op amp. I got totally spoiled, because I was in lab, and I think it was the LMC 6542 or something like that. Of course, everybody loves the what is it? The TL 084, 082. That's
TLO 74 is in there.
the 84, the 82, I think are good. I think the thing about the LMC 65 that was really sweet was it was rail-to-rail input and output, and it completely spoiled me because it's like I had those in my lab kit, and I'm like, well, these are ideal op amps. Everything's ideal op amp, and then you go into the real world, and you're like, wait a minute, what do you mean it's not, high bandwidth and high gain bandwidth and rail-to-rail input, totally internally compensated, ultra stable. They're like $3 or $4 a piece. Very nice op amps.
Okay. That pretty font thing that we were showing off on
Phil
Show and
B's,
Tell.
yeah.
Yeah, so what is that, and where will that eventually be for people to try out?
Well, it's it just got ready for me to look at, so
Yeah.
it's not quite public. I want to try it out, and then we will of course publish it, open source.
Yeah.
But the idea is, I just felt so bad asking Phil B to just do silk screens for little breakouts, and I've been doing a lot of little breakouts over, and I'm kind of been tweaking and revising them a little bit. To tweak the manufacturability, and I was like, I'd love to, update the silk screen, but I don't want to have Phil B have to draw for each one. So I said, hey, can we somehow have it auto-generate? And he just totally went above and beyond, and it automatically updates, and it's the same layout and the
good
same
work.
location. And it's crazy.
Can you use a light sensor with an Arduino Uno?
You can, absolutely. It's a great choice because it's a very lightweight sensor.
Okay. And a little bit of a follow-up from that wax question. Could you use PWM with Arduino somehow control a nichrome wire temp? Sorry, I'm new to all of this, and there's a steep layering curve. Is that a way to do it? Or
Yeah, you can. Nichrome wire is, I don't think it's inductive because it's not going to be a coil, but it's a heater. It's a very low, it's basically an extremely low resistance, right? It's 0.2 ohms. So you need a very powerful transistor, like a TIP 120 or similar. It's going to basically be like a PWM, like a motor, and that's how you would do the temperature adjustment. So just be careful, don't burn yourself. And then whatever transistor you used, maybe an N-channel MOSFET would have the lowest, heat dissipation. It's PWM at 1 kilohertz, probably work great.
Okay, could you construct a wireless LED with coiled wire to be powered from inductive high voltage power lines?
I mean, don't. I mean, basically, yeah. I mean, don't do that. But I think, how do they run it? Like, I don't know what frequency they run at 5 kilohertz. I mean, I guess you could. You'd have to get really close, probably closer than you'd want to be.
Yeah.
Just use this coil. It runs at 24 volts. It's nice and safe.
Yeah, save that project from Burning Man.
Yes, please.
Stay safe. Okay.
Do not. I mean, if you want to grab a TENS unit and see if it works with this, like, go to town. I mean, like, somebody will do some really cool, not safe for work art with it, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for you.
We're fans. We just can't endorse
Yes.
dangerous stuff. Okay. And with that, are the questions this week?
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Okie dokie. So don't forget the code is wireless LEDs. Thank
We
you
have
so
them.
much. Everybody, don't forget you get free stuff
Free.
on the way out when you check out. And, pick up some of these and more. And, what does the money go to when you buy stuff from us? It pays people great living wages, 401ks, health
If you
benefits,
like
open source code.
automatic Eagle font converters,
Yeah.
somebody had to spend a week writing that.
2,730 guides. So that's what we do.
LTR 329 libraries
no
for
loans
Circuit
or
Python and
venture
Python.
capital. We're still, I think, one of the only independent electronic companies doing this thing out there. We don't do ads or harvest your info or do any of the things like
I
that.
mean, I have to spend a lot of money on hair dye.
It's all that hair dye.
Was it like my
but that's-
$60,000 pig hair dye?
Yeah.
Somebody please help me budget.
Yeah.
The family's starving.
And we're going to keep at this because we got cool customers and we very much appreciate all of you. Special thanks to Jessie May behind the scenes tonight
Thank you,
and
Jessie
Adafruit Slack
May.
helping out. We'll see everybody next week. We're going to do a moment of Zener. This has been an Adafruit production, and I'm going to play some music on the way out.
Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.